Hi everyone, my name is Susie Q and I am the owner and maker of Glitter with Susie Q. If you like the content that you're seeing, please like, subscribe, and share. You can also connect with me by Facebook, Instagram, and email. Hey everybody, welcome back. If this is your first time visiting this channel, thank you for stopping by. Today we are going to be making this super cute tumbler that is completely made out of scrapbooking paper. So come along and join me in making this and let me know what you think in the comments below. So of course there's a story about why I'm using scrapbooking paper instead of regular vinyl. I had a super cute tumbler in my mind ready to go, and it fell through. There was nothing else that I can say except for it fell through. The design didn't work out. It wasn't gonna work. And so I started to panic and was like, oh no, what am I going to do for this week's video? So I looked around my craft room and I have a ginormous tub of scrapbooking paper. And so I said, I'm going to try it. I am going to try to make a tumbler out of scrapbook paper. So I looked through some of the sheets of paper that I had, and one of the papers that I came across was this pattern paper that says, don't panic, you've got this, or you've got this, babe. And in my moment of panic, because I was panicking, because I did not have a design at all for this week's tutorial, I thought, this might actually work. And so I just ripped that sheet out, and as you saw, I didn't decide to cut it. I cut it because I only wanted two of the strips, two of the lines of wording to show. You can see on the paper that it was kind of at an angle, but I didn't want it to be at an angle. I wanted it to be straight. So I just took my paper, and I have this really long ruler from way back in the day when I was quilting, and so I just used that really long ruler in order to cut the paper straight. So now what I am doing is I am measuring it out just like I would vinyl. So I am taking it, making sure that it wraps around, and then I'm also making sure that it is straight. You'll see in just a second, I take it off the cup and I cut it so that I have a straight line to work off of. I really felt like that was the reason why it wasn't working, me putting it on the tumbler the correct way. And so here in a moment, I'll take it off, I'll cut a straight edge so that it lays flat and it doesn't have that kind of slanted edge, and I'm able to really do a good seal around the cup. Alright, so now that I've cut off the little slanted strip, I'm going to put it back on my tumbler, and I am going to take my measuring tape and I'm going to try to get it as centered as possible, because I'm also going to add a small strip at the bottom and a small strip of a different vinyl on the top. So I want to make sure that this center is as close to center as possible. So then I'm just going to wrap it around, and I am going to make any adjustments that I need to, make sure that it wraps all the way around, working with it just like it's vinyl. So once I have it placed on my tumbler in the exact spot that I want it to, I feel like it lines up correctly and it looks really good, I now need to adhere this piece of paper to my cup. So unlike vinyl, this does not have a sticky background, so you have to make that sticky background. I am using my CrystaLac glitter glue, and I am just squeezing some of my glitter glue onto the backing of the sheet of paper, and then I am going to slowly and carefully, just like as it was vinyl, I'm going to carefully wrap it around my tumbler. You don't want to put so much glue on there that it becomes too wet and can tear, but you want to make sure that you put enough glue on there that it sticks and it doesn't slide around. So it is kind of a fine balance, but you'll know it. It's like gluing a sheet of paper to another sheet of paper. Just make sure you don't put so much on there that it saturates the paper and makes it gross. So I am then just going to wrap it around the end of the cup, and then I am going to, where that tape was, I'm making sure I take that tape off before I get to that edge. I'm putting glue underneath that edge and securing it down, and then I am wrapping it all the way, the rest of the way around the tumbler, smoothing it as I go, and making sure that I have a good bond between the paper and the cup. At this point, I am now going to cut a straight edge so that the ending is also a straight line. I thought about doing this before putting it on the cup, but I wanted to make sure that I ended the pattern where I wanted to end it, if that makes sense. So do it before you put it on the cup, do it after you put it on the cup. Either way, it doesn't matter. So the next step is I am going to take my paper trimmer and I am going to get the other sheet of paper, and here I'm measuring my cup to see how big and how thick I want the piece of paper that's going to go at the top of the cup and the bottom of the cup to be. I want to say I settled at 1.5 inches. Was the how far I wanted my paper to come down. And so whatever you decide, just make your decision and then use your paper trimmer or your Cricut or whatever you have to cut your paper at that length. So line up your paper the exact same way we did the center part, and you're going to adhere it the exact same way. I used a piece of tape, I taped it down, and then I used my glitter glue to adhere it to the cup. This part is extremely important. You want to make sure that your paper is completely lined up the correct way. And the reason why is on the top and the bottom piece, I did not exactly line it up correctly. And so there was a small gap in between my paper and my tumbler. Here in a moment, you're going to see me seal this this paper in so that when we put epoxy on it, it doesn't ruin the paper. In the spots where I did not get a good adherence to my cup, you can tell because it looks like the paper got wet. Because it did, because of the epoxy. So some epoxy seeped underneath the paper and it made the paper become wet, and so that kind of shows through. And I'll show that closer to the end of the video. It ends up turning out okay, but that's my regret of this cup. I really wish that I had gotten on the top and on the bottom a better alignment and a better seal. That way those two kind of water spots, I'll call them, didn't show up. But again, it's the exact same thing that I did in the middle strip, on the top and on the bottom. I'm just measuring them, taping them down, putting glue on it, and wrapping it around, cutting off the excess. But just, again, make sure that when you line it up, that you line it up really well so that there's not a gap between your cup and your paper. If you haven't already done so, I have a small request to ask of you. Will you please hit that like button below? Also, if you have not already, will you please subscribe to this channel? This is a relatively new channel, and I'm still really trying to grow the people who see this channel and see the content that I'm providing. If anything in this video interests you, please just hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. It would really help getting this content out to other people, and hopefully my whole goal is to share my ideas and spread my news and give other people ideas in order to be able to make really cute crafts and cups and all that kind of stuff. So if you wouldn't mind, will you please, again, like it and subscribe to it. I am now going to put a little bit of glue on top of each of those seams just to make sure that those seams don't come apart. You'll also notice that I really did try to align my seams pretty well. They're not perfect, but they're as good as they're going to get. I'm now going to set my cup aside for at minimum 2 hours in order to let this glue dry. So after 2 hours, I am going to come in and I am going to seal this paper in. This is an incredibly important part of this process. If you don't seal in your paper and you just go straight into epoxy, your paper is going to get ruined. It is going to look like you dumped water on top of your paper, and it's gonna look terrible. So I'm just showing you one round of me sealing. I just take my CrystaLac glitter glue and I spread it all over the paper. I am making sure that I get every square inch of the paper so that it seals in the paper. I do this 3 times. So I did this first layer, let it dry for at least 2 hours. Then I do a second layer, let it dry for at least 2 hours. And then I do a third layer and I let it dry for at least 2 hours. So really important to really seal in that glitter, or else unfortunately your tumbler is going to get ruined. So I know I already said that I had one regret about this cup, but I actually have a second regret with this cup. Let me explain what I'm doing. I am taking this paint, and it is called light sap green, and I am just painting the stainless steel pieces of the cup. I wish that I had put a coat of epoxy on my cup after I had sealed my paper. Here's the reason why. In a moment, you're gonna see me use some glitter glue and this paint again in order to put adhesive on the cup. And then I'm gonna glitter the cup. Once I was done glittering the cup and I tried to get the excess glitter off of it, it really, really stuck to the paper because there was glue on the paper. Even though I let it fully dry, it was still not so much tacky, it just adhered to the paper and I couldn't get all of the glitter off. So I wish that I had done a layer of epoxy, a very thin layer, and then I would have been able to tape off the paper, and then I could have once I taped it off, then I could have gotten really clean lines, and once I glittered, it would have only been on the stainless steel part and none of it would have been on the paper part. So if you want really clean glitter lines, at this point, put a layer of epoxy on it, then come back, tape it off, paint it, let it dry, and then do your second coat and your adhering of the glitter. I waited until that paint dried, and now I'm ready to do my glitter, but I didn't have the quite perfect glitter in order to do this cup. So I'm going to make a custom glitter mix. The bottle that I'm shaking right now was the mix that I made for Sorry for What I Said while I was docking the boat. It was close, but it wasn't quite right. I needed a smidge more blue. So I took Pass from the glitter guy and I just mixed it in to the mixed glitter that I already had. So this is a super, super custom mix. There is no way of recreating this. Find a glitter that you love, that you think will work well, and use that. I am then going to take the same paint, that light sap green, and my glitter glue, and you see that I am just fully out. I am fully out of glitter glue at this point. So I am going to squeeze as much glitter glue out of this bottle that I can, and then I'm going to grab my brand new glitter glue bottle, put some glitter glue in there, and then I'm going to squirt a little bit of that paint in there to tint my glitter glue. You'll see me struggling getting this lid off. My hands still are not as strong as they used to be after my carpal tunnel and cubital tunnel surgery, so I kind of blame that. But no joke, 5 minutes after I got done recording this, I went to really try to get this bottle undone, and it came off without any problem. So I don't know if I loosened it up or if I guess I was nervous being on camera, taking off the lid. I don't know what happened, but I was able to get it off to make a 50-50 mixture of glitter glue and water. And you'll see that here in a minute. But I am, again, just taking my glitter glue, my paint, and I'm mixing it together. This is how we're going to adhere the glitter to the cup. So I'm just mixing it up, getting a really good mixture of the glitter glue and the paint. And then you'll see me paint the glitter glue mixture with paint onto the cup, and then I will sprinkle the glitter on there. So also keep in mind at this point, I don't have any epoxy on this cup yet. So I'm having to paint very, very carefully in order to make sure that I don't get any of this glitter glue paint mixture onto the paper. If you get a little bit on there, it's not that big of a deal because we're gonna go through and we're gonna stripe it out here in a minute. But again, my recommendation is put a layer of epoxy on this before you do this step. That way, you don't have to really worry about your painting. You can just tape it off and be done with it. All right, so while you watch me do this process, I want you guys to comment below and tell me about a time that you had to really pivot in your craft room. Whether a cup got completely destroyed because of epoxy, because the vinyl didn't work out, because of something. Whatever the reason is, tell me about a time that you had to pivot in your craft room and how well it worked out for you. I'm going to tell you that this pivot worked out really well. Again, like I said at the beginning, I was panicking because I didn't have any other ideas. But this pivot turned out so stinking cute. So sometimes, even though it's not what our intent was, our second, third, fourth idea comes out just as good as the first one would. So, leave me a comment down below. Tell me about a time that you had a pivot or that you had to, make up a new idea on the spot because you didn't know what you were going to do to fix what you had in front of you. So here in a moment, you're gonna see the height of my frustration with this cup. I've finally gotten glittered. I'm super happy about it. I go to tap off the excess glitter with my scissors and boop, it drops out of the dang holder and it falls directly on the piece of paper. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much damage did I just do to this? Like, is it terrible? Fortunately, I was able to fix it, but I was super frustrated when that happened. So after a minimum of 2 hours, I let that initial glitter glue and paint mixture dry. And then I'm going through with a mix of 50-50 CrystaLac glitter glue with water. This mixture is what most people use to seal their glitter in or seal their tumblers. I've been using straight glitter glue. I didn't have an extra bottle in order to make a mixture. Now that I have an extra bottle, I made the mixture. So now I'm going to use a 50-50 mix in order to make my glitter glue go even further. But all I'm doing, it's the same process that I've done before. I am just taking the 50-50 mix, putting a little bit on there, spreading it around, and with a paintbrush, and just letting it sealing it, I guess is how you would say that. Before I got to this point, I did take a brush and I did try to brush off as much glitter as I could off of the paper, but like I said before, because of the tackiness of the paper and the glue, some glitter just stuck. It turned out looking really cute because it kind of gave the paper a little bit of a sparkle, but initially when I was thinking about this, I kind of wanted the glitter to be glitter and the paper to be paper. So if you are super dead set on the paper being paper and the glitter being glitter, make sure that you put that layer of epoxy on before you do your glitter. All right, so after 2 hours, this cup is finally ready to go on the turner, and I am ready to seal it in with epoxy. Keep in mind, this is our very first layer of epoxy on this tumbler. If I did it over again, this would be the second layer, but in this tutorial, this is the first layer of epoxy that we have. So here I'm showing you the spots that look like the epoxy went underneath the paper. And that's what I mean by it looks wet. So once I took it off my tumbler, I cleaned it up a little bit. I cleaned out the rim a little bit, got all the extra epoxy off of the rim, and then I did a really light sanding on it. Because we used paper and we used very fine glitter, it didn't need a lot of sanding, but I wanted to make sure that my cup was as smooth as possible, so I did a real quick sanding with it. And then I am now just taking plain black vinyl, it's 405 vinyl, and I am just striping out my lines. Anywhere that there is paper touching glitter, I'm putting a black stripe there. So I'm also making a conscious effort to keep my seams in a line. Of course, they're not perfect, but they are as good as they're gonna get. And so that's what I do. I just line out the glitter and the paper, and that really just gives it a more polished look, a more professional look. You can, even though there is glitter on the paper, it really just gives yourself a distinguished line. Try to make your lines as perfect as possible. As you can see, that very top line kind of sinks down a little bit. It's okay. I am sure if I hadn't mentioned it, probably no one would have noticed. Other people don't notice the small imperfections that you make on your cup, but you will notice them more than other people. So just do the best that you can on making these lines straight. And always remember, these are handcrafted. We are not machines. We are human, and there's gonna be minor errors. There's gonna be small things that that we wish that could be perfect, but they're not because we are human. So take a deep breath. Remember, this is a hobby. It is a craft. It might be your business, but just also remember it's handcrafted. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's also part of the reason why people order from us, because we take the time to do these awesome things, and they want to see what we create. So the small imperfections, they're not expecting us to be perfect. They're not expecting us to be machines. Just know that there's going to be imperfections in what you make, and that's okay. If you haven't already done so, I know I've already said this once, but let me go ahead and say it again. If you haven't already done so, will you please hit like and subscribe? And that way you get some notifications, and you will hopefully come back and watch other videos that I come up with. After I get done with the striping, I go ahead and I put this on my turner, and I put on 2 coats of final epoxy. I forgot to record, for whatever reason, those final coats of epoxy, but that's okay. You know what it looks like. You don't need to see it. It's fine. But just know that I put 2 layers of epoxy on this, and then our tumbler will be finished. And here's the final product. Y'all, going from complete panic that I didn't have a design for this week to how super cute this tumbler turned out, I'm really proud of myself. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Come back next week and see the next video. Like, subscribe, and share. Thanks, guys. Bye. You can connect with me on social media with Facebook and Instagram, and you can also send me an email. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. But now it's time for you to watch the video that's suggested for you on the screen. Have a great day. Bye.